Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 123 of the Nigerian Football Weekly podcast. Me, your host, Okereke. And yes, we are officially in the international break, which means that for this episode of the podcast, I'll be doing a quick rundown of how our footballers got on in the final weekend of club action ahead of the Nigeria versus Rwanda game in the international games, and just touching on how our players. I will then be doing a preview of the Nigeria versus Rwanda game shortly after, so please look out for that content and keep an eye out. Once again, I want to thank every listener for watching the content, viewing the content, liking, sharing, subscribing, giving comments. You know, when Nigeria are playing, it's always a very exciting time and probably the best time I enjoy recording the podcast. So just before I get into how Nigeria could do versus Rwanda, I'll be doing a quick rundown of how our players performed in their club sides ahead in the run-up of the national team. So, what are the main major talking points for the past weekend? The good news is we saw our players continue to flourish in Europe as we expected, which stands in good omen ahead of the games that we're playing in the World Cup. In the World Cup qualifiers, so to speak. So first of all, our star player, Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen was in action over this weekend for Galatasaray against Antalyaspor on Friday, and he actually scored a hat-trick. He was absolutely devastating. He literally just finished work and did everything he needed to do for Galatasaray. Like I said, he's like a one-man army dragging Galatasaray to that title. Yes, the rest of the team are playing very well, but when you have an outlet and focal point like Victor Osimhen, you're definitely seeing the fruits bear based on his performances. So he scored an hat-trick on Friday in their 4-0 win over Antalyaspor. He's now got 20 league goals in Turkey. I think he's only played like 25 games. He scored 3 goals in his last 3 games, and he has 31 goals and assists in 30 games for the Turkish side. What I also wanted to call out is out of the 20 goals he scored, 6 are penalties, which is good because during AFCON, remember, Osimhen was not taking penalties. But I like that he's been taking responsibility for Galatasaray's penalties, and he has 6. I think also on a very positive note, one thing to mention is out of the 20 goals scored by Galatasaray, he scored for Galatasaray, Osimhen has scored the first goal in a game 10 times, which means when it's 0-0 and the deadlock needs to be broken, he's that game breaker player that can definitely open up the tie and score the goal to give Galatasaray a lead, and he's done that on 10 occasions. So at the moment, Galatasaray are still unbeaten in the league. They've only drawn 5 games and they've won every single other game. They're on course to win the league unbeaten, so long may that continue, and it stands us in good stead. I also noticed that Osimhen was one of the first players to arrive in the Nigeria camp for our game against Rwanda in Kigali. So you can tell Osimhen is determined and focused. I watched his interview with Mikel. He's talking about how Nigeria have to make the World Cup. It will be a shame if a team like Nigeria, this generation, do not make a World Cup. We know that it's not normal for us to miss World Cups. Since we made our first World Cup appearance in 1994, we've missed the World Cup twice. 2006 was one where Angola qualified based on head-to-head over us. And of course, 2022, the last World Cup, where Ghana beat us on away goals in the qualifier playoffs. So it will be an abomination for Nigeria to miss World Cups back-to-back, especially with these talents that we have. So it's all looking good for Osimhen, and long may that continue. Also, Bassey and Iwobi, I want to shout them out. Very, very good performance for Fulham on Sunday against Tottenham. To be fair, Fulham are always going to beat Tottenham, but still, you have to deliver and get the wins on the board. Bassey was really instrumental in this game, kept another clean sheet, and just showed his strength. There's even a clip that's doing the rounds on Twitter and social media where he badged off Christian Romero, who likes to do like he's a tough guy for Argentina. So Bassey, I wanted to shout you out, and also Iwobi. I want to also mention Onuachu. He scored another goal for Southampton. It was his 3rd Premier League goal. Yes, Southampton are useless. Yes, they're going down. But Onuachu is still building a bit of credentials for himself in England in the Premier League. And he scored a very good goal from it. Quick reactions, the shot came in, the goalkeeper pushed the ball out, and Onuachu was there to just slam it into the net. So shout out to him. Also, Frank Onyeka. I'm still baffled as to how he was not called up for the national team. But his Oberg team, yet another solid display for Orban. They've kept their 6th straight clean sheets in the league and are unbeaten in 10 games. And Onyeka puts in another solid performance for his team. Christantus Uche, another person I think should be in the national team. He had a bit of a mixed bag over the weekend. He got the assist for the winner for Getafe. Really, really strong play from him as always. Not surprising as well. He laid the ball off for his teammates to smash the ball in. Even though they were 1-0 down, they ended up winning 2-1. But then he got 2 yellow cards in quick succession and got sent off in the game. So unfortunate for him, but we can still see his all-action display and performance for Getafe. Osimhen as well, he's like one of the senior men in the national team. Very, very inconsistent for Nantes. He got yet another assist as Nantes won their match 1-0 over Lille. Very, very sumptuous cross for the Egyptian striker Mustafa Mohamed, who headed the ball straight in the back of the net. And I think Osimhen is going to play a very, very, very big role for Nigeria in our games against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. He's also now got the second most assists in the whole of League One. So continue to shine, Osimhen. I just want to shout you out. Also, Tolu Arokodare, freshly called up to the national team, already given a good interview about how excited he was to be called up and the privilege of what it means to represent the national team. He scored yet another goal for Genk and he stays as the top goal scorer in the Belgian league. He now has 17 league goals for the season. And let's see if he can play any part for Nigeria in our game against Rwanda on Friday. Igor Ugbo, freshly called up as well for the national team. And how did he celebrate? He scored a goal for Slavia Prague in their 3-0 win over Jablonec on Sunday. So looking forward to seeing if he could play any role in the national team. But it's very likely he will start on the bench because we have our first choice centre-back pairing of Trust Ekong and Calvin Bassey in camp as well. And then also I want to shout out David Okereke for scoring the only goal of the game for Gaziantep in their 1-0 win, which has now moved them to 6th place in the league and it's his 7th league goal of the season. So those are the major talking points in terms of Nigerian players forming for their club sides over the past week in Europe. Other games to note, the Nottingham Forest boys continue to make their charge towards the Champions League, and it looks more likely that they will make the Champions League at this point with 9 games to go. They won yet again. They beat Ipswich Town 4-2. All I know, yet another solid performance, and we saw Tyrell when he played 10 minutes in this game. So it's looking good for the Espirito Santos boys. And shout out to Harry Pinero and Culture Cams. I watched the interview they did with Ola Aina on the Inside Scoop. Very, very entertaining, and it's good to hear Aina talk about the AFCON final and how he got cooked by his family. It was quite funny to watch. I'd have loved if they asked I know the question about World Cup qualifiers and how it's looking and what he believes Nigeria could still do and how if he's looking forward to the next African Cup of Nations, which is taking place in December. But it's all good. It's not my own interview. And me, I like to focus on Super Eagles, so maybe I'm a bit biased in that one. But shout out to them. Also, as I said already, Calvin Bassey and Alex Iwobi, great performance for Fulham. 2-0 win over Tottenham on Sunday. Even though Fulham are 8th with 45 points, the interesting thing is the Premier League is likely to get 5 spots in the Champions League this season. And Fulham are literally 3 points off Man City in 5th and 4 points off Chelsea who are 4th with 49 points. So you can even argue that between the 4th place team and Bournemouth in 10th, they're separated by 5 points. So there's all to play for between Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle, Brighton, Fulham, Aston Villa and Bournemouth to make those final 2 Champions League spots in 4th and 5th. So it should be a very interesting end to the season. I think that's the only thing that's left to play for in the Premier League, to be honest. The relegation teams are pretty much confirmed. Wolves are 9 points ahead of Ipswich Town and Leicester. So the chances of Ipswich Town and Leicester winning 3 of their last 9 games are slim to none. And Wolves will still win games. Liverpool are 12 points ahead of Arsenal. So the league title is pretty much done and dusted. So that top 4 battle is the only thing remaining in the Prem. And fingers crossed, we'll see the Fulham boys make it. And also, all I know, because the more Nigerian players we have playing in the Champions League and in the Premier League, the better for us and our rating and how we feel about our Super Eagles players. Wilfred Ndidi, on the other hand, we know Leicester going down. He got a yellow card as Leicester lost 3-0 to Man United. Not a good performance for Leicester at all. But Ndidi continues to show that he's not supposed to be playing for a team that's 19th in the Premier League. So honestly, I'm looking forward to the summer and see what happens because Ndidi cannot play another year in Championship. I'm sorry. He's beyond that level. So let's watch out for that. As I already mentioned, Onuachu scored a goal off the bench for Southampton in a 2-1 loss to Wolves, while Aribo played 90 minutes. Even Aribo, I'm looking forward to the break he's having playing for the national team because it must be so mentally draining playing for a team that's dead last in the Premier League and literally showing no hope or signs of life. What a draining thing mentally to have to deal with. And look, there's a player in Aribo, we already know. So let's see if he plays any minutes, even though it may be unlikely in this World Cup qualifiers. But at least he gets to at least buttress his point and honour his performances. Other games to be aware about: Everton drew 1-1 with West Ham on Saturday. We saw Man City draw 2-2 against Brighton on Saturday as well. Brentford beat Bournemouth 2-1. Really, really good performance from Brentford. And then on Sunday, we saw Arsenal beat Chelsea 1-0. Shout out to Mikel Merino. To be honest, this game was not in any doubt. I knew Arsenal would go and win the game because Chelsea are really, really poor. And of course, we mentioned that Leicester lost 3-0 to Man United and Fulham beat Tottenham 2-0. Also, in the League Cup final, we saw Newcastle win their first trophy in 70 years by beating Liverpool 2-1. Really, really great performance from Newcastle. Alexander Isak scored. Dan Burn scored a goal in the final after he's just been called up for the English national team. His second oldest player to ever be called up for the English national team to make his debut. So shout out to them. So that's it in terms of the Premier League roundup. In Serie A, unfortunately, we saw Ademola Lookman's Atalanta get shown up at home by Inter Milan. Inter Milan are the best team in Serie A by far, and they're definitely likely to win their back-to-back Scudetto and their third Scudetto in 4 seasons because one impressive performance by Inter to beat Atalanta 2-0 away. Lautaro Martinez scored, and the first goal was scored by Carlos Augusto. Great header. Inter were flawless, to be honest, and they look like definitely the best team in Italy. Samuel Chukwueze, on the other hand, was on a new sub for AC Milan in their 2-1 win over Como. Tijani Reinders scored the winning goal after Pulisic made it 1-1. Tijani Reinders, man, Arsenal, go and look at this boy, man. Like, this guy is a player. I don't even know how we allowed him follow the way to AC Milan, but this boy is a footballer. As for Dele-Bashiru, he played 11 minutes on Thursday in the Europa League as Lazio drew 1-1 against Victoria Pilsen. I'm not sure why he's not in the national team squad, but it is what it is. And Visaya was not in the squad on Sunday as Lazio lost 5-0 to Bologna. So Lazio are in a bit of a free fall. They're chasing the Champions League spots, but now Bologna are 4th in Serie A. And it's very impressive because Bologna made the Champions League last year under Thiago Motta after finishing 5th. So now they've won their last 5 games and they're in 4th place. And they thrashed Lazio 5-0. So it's looking really good for Bologna to make the Champions League back-to-back, even after changing their manager. As for Maduka Okoye, back in action, played 90 minutes. I'm not sure why he's not in the national team if we can see Kayode Bankole and Omar Sobasogi in the squad. But good to see Maduka continue to play well. Unfortunately, they lost 1-0 to Verona at home, and there's nothing you could have done about the goal because it was a fantastic finish by Duda. Free kick, honestly. Go and watch the replay. It was just a fantastic goal from the free kick. In the Bundesliga, we saw Nathan Tella and Boniface. Tella was on the bench, and Boniface played the last 25 minutes as Leverkusen lost 2-0 to Bayern Munich a week ago in the Champions League. 5-0 on aggregate, so they're done. Tella was then removed from the Super Eagles squad due to an injury and replaced by Jordan Torunariga on Sunday, so he's not going to play for the national team. But Victor Boniface played 33 minutes for Leverkusen and was instrumental in their comeback win over Stuttgart. They were losing this game 2-0, and then all of a sudden it was 3-1. They lose to Stuttgart, and then when it was 3-2, Boniface played a cross, which was basically turned in by a Stuttgart defender to make it 3-3 in the 89th minute. And then in 95th minute, we saw Patrick Schick score his 17th league goal of the season to win the game for late Leverkusen, as they like to say. So really, really good performance for Bayer Leverkusen. They're now just 6 points behind Bayern Munich, even though it looks like the title is done. Bayern Munich have lost and drawn their last 2 games, so you just never know with these things. And hopefully Leverkusen can make a late run into at least challenge and push Bayern all the way to the end in this game. As for Frank Onyeka, we already mentioned that he kept another clean sheet as Orban beat Wolfsburg 1-0. I'm still not sure why he's not in the squad, but maybe the Ejuke will do a press conference over the next few days. Today is Tuesday, March 18th, so maybe we'll get a press conference tomorrow or on Thursday to explain what's going on there and what we can expect going forward around Frank Onyeka. As for Gift Urban, he played 57 minutes, and Akpoguma also played as Hoffenheim lost 1-0 to St. Pauli. Not a good result at all for Hoffenheim, but they're relatively safe at the moment. In La Liga, Omar Sadiq started the game for Valencia and they drew 1-1 to Girona. He did have a couple chances to score, but all in all, decent performance, to be honest. He can't score every day, but you know, we can't complain too much. I already mentioned about Christantus Uche's performance for Getafe. Mixed bag for him, but the good news is Getafe won yet again over Osasuna, and they're now 11th in the league. As for Ejuke, he played 67 minutes, and Akko Adams came on for the final 7 minutes as Sevilla lost 1-0 to Athletic Bilbao. To be fair, they were always going to lose this game. Athletic Bilbao were very, very good in this game, and their pressure eventually told as they scored a header in the 83rd minute of this game through their centre-back Uri. In France, Iheanacho was on the bench for Monaco in their 2-0 win over Angers on Saturday. As for Osimhen, I already mentioned his exploits in getting the assist for Nantes in their all-important 1-0 win over Lille. Akpoguma also played in this game. He came off the bench to play 28 minutes as they lost 1-0. And he also came off the bench to play 23 minutes as Lille lost 2-1 to Borussia Dortmund last week Tuesday in the Champions League. So Dortmund are in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Dele-Bashiru, another player that I'm not really sure why Eric did not call him up or doesn't like him. But Dele-Bashiru played 90 minutes as Auxerre drew 1-1 against Nice on Friday. As for Hamza Ojidiro, he was not in the squad for Lens in their 1-0 win over Rennes on Saturday. So that's it in terms of the top 5 leagues. Quickly just touch on the other leagues for viewing pleasure and to make sure that this is not too long. We saw Osimhen scored a hat-trick I already mentioned, and he did all of this in 68 minutes, by the way. So shout out to you, Victor Osimhen, you fantastic human being and footballer. 20th league goal for the season, and we already know, I can guarantee he will be playing in Premier League next season. So look out for that. I'm not sure which team yet, but this is a star player. So look out for that. As for Osayi-Samuel, he played 74 minutes. Fenerbahce beat Rangers 2-0 on Thursday in the Europa League. As for Anthony Dennis and Getafe, he played 88 minutes as they drew 1-1 against Eyüpspor. They remain 7th in the league. And I already mentioned that David Okereke scored the winning goal for Gaziantep in their 1-0 win over Kayserispor on Saturday. In Portugal, Edu Sanusi was not in the squad for Porto as they beat AVS Football on Saturday. That's probably telling us to why he was not called up to the national team. And in the Jupiler League in Belgium is the final games of the first stage, which took place this weekend. We already mentioned that Arokodare scored his 17th league goal of the season in a 2-1 win over Union Saint-Gilloise. So what then happens is the top 8 teams then break into what they call the championship round, where they pretty much play each other home and away to determine who wins the Belgian league. So it's looking good for Arokodare. Although Club Brugge team are also looking pretty good, so I think one of them will become the champion of Belgium. Onyeka played 90 minutes as Club Brugge lost 3-0 to Villa in Villa Park on Wednesday. It's been a good Champions League run for them, but to be honest, Aston Villa's talent was always going to tell, and they lost 6-1 on aggregates. Let's just say their luck ran out and leave it at that. On Sunday, he then played 90 minutes as they beat Sporting Charleroi 4-2 on Sunday, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what Onyeka can do for the national team on Friday. He's definitely going to start the game. Torunariga obviously called up as a replacement for Nathan Tella, so he'll be feeling good. He did play 90 minutes for Ghent as they lost 2-1 to Kochijic on Sunday, so look out for that, and hopefully he could get a run out for the national team on Friday or Tuesday next week when we play Zimbabwe. In the Czech Republic, we saw Rafael Durosimi play 72 minutes and get an assist, but also a yellow card as Victoria Pilsen drew 1-1 against Lazio in the Europa League on Thursday. They've now bowed out of the competition 3-2 on aggregates. And I already mentioned that Igor Ubo scored for Slavia Prague in their 3-0 win over Jablonec on Sunday. So that will definitely stand him in good stead and give him good endorphins as he comes to play for the national team. In Greece, Bruno Yemachi played 15 minutes for Olympiacos on Thursday. They did beat Bodo Glimt 2-1, but they lost 4-2 on aggregate because they got thrashed in the first leg. But Oyemachi is likely to start for the Super Eagles on Friday, so at least the fact he's getting minutes and playing well is a good sign. And honestly, I didn't like the fact that we had a player for playing for Boavista in national team. So now he's playing for Olympiacos, at least it's better, potential Greek champions and a big club by all measures of what a big club is. In Scotland, we saw Cyril Dessers and Leon Balogun both play as Rangers lost 2-0 to Fenerbahce in the second leg of the Europa League round of 16. But they won the first leg 3-1. So it ended up 3-3. And then Rangers went on to win 3-2 on penalties. So really, really good to see. As if that could not stop the good vibes, Rangers then beat Celtic in the Old Firm derby on Sunday 3-2 with the last-minute winner, with Dessers and Balogun both starting the game. However, it's a bit too little too late for them to challenge for the title. But at least they're still showing Celtic that we still there. In Sweden, we saw Daniel Daga come on to play in extra time after Molde lost 1-0 in regulation time. They did lose 2-0 after extra time and 4-3 aggregate, so they bowed out of the Conference League in that particular tie. And then in South Africa, we saw Stanley Norbali play 90 minutes and make 2 saves as Chippa United beat Polokwane 2-0 on Saturday. So that's it in terms of the roundup of our players and how they performed in their various leagues. Pretty good performances to see. There's no ones to watch this week because we have Super Eagles games to watch. Nigeria will be playing Rwanda on Friday, 5 p.m. Nigeria time in Kigali. So really, really excited for this game. Nigeria need to win this match. We know our last international game in November was against Rwanda, and we lost 2-1 at home, even though we had already qualified for AFCON. So we need to look for revenge and show Rwanda who's boss. Rwanda actually top of our World Cup qualifying group right now with 7 points after their first 4 games. So Nigeria, if we don't win this game on Friday, let's just say bye-bye to World Cup. And what a shame that would be, because man, I don't even want to allow myself imagine Nigeria not making the World Cup, to be honest with you. But fingers crossed for that. Star boy of the week. Bronze medal, I want to give it to Tolu Arokodare. He scored his 17th league goal in Belgium, remains the top goal scorer as Genk won yet again over Union Saint-Gilloise 2-1. Silver medal, I want to share it this week between Stanley Nwabali. Kept the clean sheet for Chippa United ahead of him playing for the Super Eagles, which is a good omen, especially with Maduka Okoye not being in the squad. I also want to shout out Osayi-Samuel for getting an assist for Nantes. Very, very important goal for Nantes as they beat Lille 1-0, which is no easy feat. But gold medal this week is very simple. Victor Osimhen, hat-trick, star player, 20th league goal of the season, still unbeaten in the league for Galatasaray. And he even allowed Morata play the penalty in that game, so he could have easily even scored 4. So Victor Osimhen, honestly, just fantastic vibes, and shout out to you, because God knows. One thing to note, Osimhen has not played in any of the previous 4 World Cup qualifiers, which is why we're in this useless predicament. No Osimhen, no party, best believe. So Osimhen, you're the star boy of the week, and hopefully can continue to give us joy starting from Friday when we play Rwanda. One thing to mention in terms of Nigerian news, the under-17 women's team played against South Africa on Saturday and won the game 2-0. And 5-1 on aggregate. So that means the team have qualified for the next round of World Cup qualifiers, where we will face Algeria in the final qualifying round. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. I just wanted to do a quick rundown of how our players performed in Europe. Of course, look out for the review of the preview of the Nigeria versus Rwanda game. Very, very important and very, very needed. As I said, we need to win that game by any means possible. Until next time, take care and continue to support the channel. And I'm very excited to watch Super Eagles this week. You know, I feel like it's time for Ejuke to show us what he's been working with, and I'm liking the good vibes we're seeing from the camp. So until next time, take care, continue to support. Remember, we're Nigeria Football Weekly on all channels. Like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Please continue to run up the numbers. And we are Nigeria Football Weekly on all social media channels except Twitter, where we're at NFWPOD. Until next time, take care and peace out. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and click the bell to get a notification whenever we drop the video. You can also find our social media channels listed below. And of course, up Super Eagles and Nigeria, they ever carry last.